Hello everyone. I'm at home right now, working from home, as everyone is. And since we don't have very much FaceTime, I thought I'd just share with you my thoughts about just next steps for this upcoming sprint. Or actually, you've already moved to working on the sprint, but I just want to share with you some of my thoughts and see what you guys think. Okay. So here's my whiteboard, all right, and then I'll flesh this out in a document, but I just want to share with you what I have to date. Okay, so here's my whiteboard, and I have sectioned it into 3 parts, okay? So the first part is the current analysis, okay? The second part of this is what I think are the next steps. And when I say what I think, I definitely want your input on this as well. And then the third part is really what we should be getting out of this sprint from the data. Okay, so what are we looking to as possible outcomes to achieve? Okay, so the first part is, what is the current analysis telling us? Okay, so I have, this is a lot of the stuff that we already know, okay? But ranking the groups, okay? So group 3 being the most active, 0, 2, 4, and then 1, okay? So as you can see here, next to it, I have bucketed in terms of groups that are still active and groups that have churned. And so group 1 has completely churned. The next column is, you'll see the population breakdown. You already know this. The channels that the group are active in, and then what I call the recency ranking, because basically the analysis, as far as my understanding goes, is really based on recency, okay? So what I would like to do as far as next steps is, and we can look at it in terms of a 30-day window, okay? Is how active are these users, right? So number 1, looking at their logins over 30 days, okay? Are people logging in just one day? Are people logging in every day, okay? So we need to look at some type of a distribution, and I shared with you some of the formats before, but a power curve distribution would be, I think, would make a lot of sense for this type of analysis, okay? Number 2, all right, so also the number of transactions over a 30-day period is a very similar login too, right? So what type of, what is the volume of transactions, okay? And then looking at patterns in days, right? So are there days of the week where people are logging in or transacting more than other days, okay? So looking at those type of behaviors for primarily right now, we're looking at frequency of login and of transactions, okay? So then moving on to the next one is, then we want to look at the value, right? So how much are they transacting, right? So what are the total number of transactions, right, for each group, okay? And then the total transaction value. So you're going to have a value in terms of their currency value, right? The rand value. Okay, so what is that total? And then look at things like average ticket size per transaction. Okay, so you want to know, like, okay, even though sometimes there's a lot of transactions, the average ticket size is small, and then vice versa as well, right? So you want to look at that. And then are there certain days that transactions are more frequent than others? Okay, so a very similar pattern here, but what we're trying to solve here is okay, are transactions also equal to revenue coming into the company? Okay, and then additionally, what type of transactions are being performed, right? I mean, are we doing a lot more vast transactions, or is it just typical debit credit transactions? So I think, we can start off here. It could go really deep, but I think, maybe you can start by bucketing or taking just a top list of 3 to 5 transactions that are occurring for each group. Okay. And then to conclude, what we really want to get out of this sprint, or, to answer is, does higher login frequency equate to higher transaction frequency? So meaning that if I'm logging in, Do I also do a lot of transactions, or am I just logging in and logging out? Okay. And that really, you have to separate group, all the other groups that are logging in via, your smart app and your web channels versus just the group 2 that does not use a smart app. Okay, so we have to look at that separately. Okay. Secondly, does transaction frequency equate to a larger total transaction value? Okay, so what I mean by that is what I just stated earlier is that there might be groups that are logging in and using the transaction quite a lot, but the total value of the transactions are very small. Perhaps you might have a group that are transacting very little, but the average ticket size is very large, right? So you want to identify that as well. Okay. Then what are the more popular types of transactions that are occurring? And like I said, that you don't want to go too deep into that. Let's just start bucketing them first to look and analyze. And then finally, like, why are certain groups more active compared to others? So in your previous analysis, right, group 3 was at the top. Group 4 was on the verge of churning, right? I mean, they're on the verge of maybe, we may be losing this group in the near future. So perhaps based on the data that we've gathered and looking at the type of activity, the type of transactions they're doing, is there a certain behavior that, the more active groups like group 3 and group 0 are doing, that group 4 is not doing? And so we want to identify those types of patterns too. So in short, I just want to share with you this video so that you have a better understanding of what I'm thinking of when it comes to solving these types of problems. Okay? All right, thanks, and have a good weekend.